Hare Krishna, Namaste. Question is, I am a devotee, but I like to watch movies, sometimes TV serials. By doing so, do I get sin? If I watch good movies, will I get punya? If I watch wrong movies, will I get papa? Let's see the answer. There are movies and TV serials which are good, where one can learn some good things, and there are also many other movies where one can learn bad things. And there are third category where there is no learning involved, but it's just for entertainment. So the question is, irrespective of what type of movie that is, does one get papa or punya accordingly? Answer is no. One will not get either punya or papa. By watching good movie, one does not get punya. By watching bad movies, one does not get papa. But please, the person who asked this question, please hold on until end of this recording. The short answer is no. But we need to know the detail of it. Before we get to the long answer, first question we need to ask is, why watching movies or TVs is part of our life? One may say for pleasure, or one may say to kill some time, or one may say for relaxation. We will address this part as well later. Now let's get to the original question. Do I get papa by watching movies? Answer is no. But what we need to know is, by watching movies, what is going to be our consciousness, or what consciousness are we going to develop? One must be aware of that, because that is what going to define if we are going to get punya or papa, not simply watching the movie. When we see or watch something that not supposed to be watched, then such things very quickly get imprinted in our mind. It's a truth that bad things are the fastest one which get registered in our thought than the good ones. When that impression becomes stronger, one may get involved into such actions, whatever they saw in that movie. With that action, then one gets papa or punya, based on what action they are performing from what they saw. One may, for argument's sake, say, well, I am very strong. I can watch any movie but never get affected. But such talks are spoken out of overconfidence. They are useless arguments. Rather, one must realize it is dangerous. One is gambling their mind with such movies. When one get hooked watching movies on a regular basis or a daily basis, it is very difficult to get out of that program. And what happens is, proportionately, our consciousness also get contaminated. We are giving more time in watching movies on a regular basis, so our mind get tuned to those things which has been watched and heard. So if anyone says that I will not be affected, one must know that we are not great yogis who have strong willpower in any given condition. But also in history, in Puranas, we have read that even few such yogis have fallen into the prey of Maya. So where are we compared to such great sages? Then the next argument comes, well, I do not watch any romantic movies, passionate movies, or bad movies, but I watch some entertainment just to kill my free time. Will that give me sin? because I am wasting time by watching such movies? It's the same answer. No, it will not give sin, but gradually it will pull one into the other channels where other types of movies happens. Like how Ravana initially came as sannyasi, then later he showed his real form. Likewise, one may get hooked watching TV or movie, thinking they are watching good things, may gradually be pulled into other things as well. Like Ravana had 10 heads, which he revealed later. Likewise, the TVs have many channels. It will be revealed as we keep watching. In any case, either we spend time in watching useless things or bad things, we will not get sin, and by watching good things we will not get punya. But what happens is, when we waste time by watching these things, the Lord who is situated in our heart will think, this guy has so much free time to watch movies. But when we call him to do some service, he says he is busy. He has no time to chant, but he has all time to watch movies. He has no time to learn Bhagavad Gita or listen to lectures, but he has all time to watch movies. He doesn't want to commit to me or my devotional service or any devotional activities, but he is so committed in watching movies. In this way, the Lord feels sad about us, which creates a sort of unhappiness within him about us. When he gets a clear picture, he understands our intention, that is to enjoy ourselves away from him, then he takes the back seat. He becomes udhasina. He becomes little careless in our case. He let us go. What does that mean for us? It means our spiritual progress will be blocked. When the Lord becomes udhasina, neutral, then we will not have his glance, his kataksha, his mercy upon us. If we lose his mercy, then our spiritual progress will have a negative impact. That means gradually our bhakti will diminish. By the way, a side note, this is not only applicable to watching movies, this is the same case for any bad habits that we may hold on to. And we are not going to discuss and list out what are those bad habits. Everyone knows what they are, and especially those who are engaged in bad habits knows very well they are doing bad things. Therefore, if we want to get full benefit of Krishna's mercy, then we have to be careful not to waste our time and get engaged in such activities which gradually pulls us away from Krishna. One may say that, well, I have been doing bhakti for so many years, but I don't see much progress. The reason could be simply because we may be engaged in bhakti, but at the same time we may be also engaged in unwanted activities like watching movies or other things. We have to be truthful. Are we really practicing bhakti, or we are Mishra Bhaktas, meaning we have material desires and the bhakti is mixed with those material desires. I am a devotee on Sundays when I go to the temple, but other days I am on my own. I am devotee when I do service, but outside of that I am on my own. I do whatever I want to. If that is the consciousness that we function and perform bhakti, then naturally the progress, spiritual progress, is going to be in jeopardy. Why? Because the Lord becomes udhasina. He doesn't get involved personally when we have duplicity nature. If Krishna is not involved, then our bhakti will not grow. If our bhakti doesn't grow, then we lose the qualification to attain Krishna. Now that brings up to our next question. If I should not watch movie, then what am I supposed to do in my free time? Well, if you have so much free time, there are so many services available in the temple. Temple is the place where job opportunity never freezes. Or if someone is interested in serving the society, there are so many non-profit organizations which helps orphan children, seniors, etc. They can volunteer to such organizations as well and do some service. Keep oneself busy all the time. And it is better that one get engaged in services when they are young and active. If the body doesn't bend now to do service when one is young, we can pretty much conclude that person is not going to do any service when he becomes aged, old. It is only through the devotional service, or we can say, in other words, devotional service is the easiest way to purify one's consciousness very easily. And when our consciousness gets purified by devotional service and by chanting the holy name of Krishna, then naturally a distaste will come towards these material attractions like watching movies and whatnot. And taste get developed towards Krishna. Krishna's name, Krishna's forms, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities. And this is not an exaggeration. This is the fact that we can see in hundreds of devotees' life, whose lives have turned into fully Krishna consciousness. And such devotees derive great pleasure, satisfaction by simply engaging in Krishna consciousness. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matchitta Madgatha Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. One thing we must preach to our mind is about the reality of this world. Usually we enjoy an object as long that object is in a good condition. After that, we cannot enjoy it. Say if that object that we are enjoying has longer duration, then the question comes, what about us? Can we enjoy the same object for longer duration? Answer is maybe or may not. It all depends on our mental state and health condition at that time. One may enjoy sweets when they were young, but sweet may exist even when the person is in his 40, 50, 60, 70s. But he may not be able to enjoy the same object which he enjoyed 50 years back. When I say same object, it is not the same sweet, but the sweet of same category. So, one who is intelligent must ask question to oneself, is there an object which stays for longer time? Not just stays longer time, but does not deteriorate over the period of time. Likewise, will I have this body forever, and will this body never deteriorate? Answer is, we cannot find such things in this world. Everything that gives us hope for our enjoyment, for our pleasure in this world will be finished one day. That includes our own body. That is why the great saints and sages say that the enjoyment of this world is alpam and Asthiram. Alpa means insignificant and Asthiram means unstable or temporary. At least if one of these two is there, we can consider that particular object to be enjoyed. But if the object fails both conditions, then what's the point of enjoying such objects? Say if that object we get in this world significantly high, then even if it is temporary, then we can accept that or enjoy it because it is of the highest form, though it is temporary. Or if the enjoyment is insignificant, but if it is permanent, then also we can accept it. At least we are getting something which is permanent, though it is not the highest pleasure. But in both cases, it fails. There is no object in this world which is significant and which is permanent, which can be for our enjoyment. And that is why the compassionate sages, having pity on us, asks us, why are you running behind these enjoyments that is offered by this material world, which are just Alpa and Asthira? Why don't you look for that object which is Ananta and Sthira? Ananta means unlimited or insignificant. Sthiram means stable or permanent. Why don't you aspire to enjoy that object? Now the question comes, where is that object? I couldn't find that object here. Then they say, you can't find that here in this world. You have to attain the spiritual world. Now please, a side note, those who are scholars, learned in Shastras, do not challenge. What about the deities? What about the holy Tirtha and Dhams? Are they not transcendental? How can you say that they are Alpam and Asthiram? We never said that they are Alpam and Asthiram, but at one point of time, they will also go to their original source and appear again when the creation happens. But that is not the case in the spiritual world. But even if we say, for argument's sake, they all exist in this world permanently, we will not exist permanently in this world. Our body will be done. Either we have to take another body, or if we have done bhakti, then we will return to the spiritual world. So the point is, it is only the spiritual world where everything is significant, unlimited, anantam, and the happiness there is stable and sthiram, because the object of enjoyment is anantam and sthiram, that is Krishna. Krishna's names, his pastimes, his qualities, his forms, they are all not temporary and they are not limited either. Therefore, answer to the question is, yes, there is an object which is significantly high in giving pleasure and which is permanent as well, and that is Krishna. Now, well, we understand that object is Krishna, but what about us? Our body is not permanent. Even if we are a great devotee, one day we must vacate this body. Death is inevitable to anyone for that matter. Anyone who has taken birth must die. Yes, it is true. But we have to see answer in two angles. Number one, when one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord while they are in this world, that body is utilized fully for the pleasure of the Lord. That means our body completely belongs to the Lord. He knows what is the best way to take care of that body which is engaged in his service. If Krishna wants, he will let the devotee stay in that body to continue service as long as he wants. If Krishna wants, if he decides that's enough, then he will create a situation in such a way that devotee must vacate that body. In other words, that body becomes invalid so that the devotee can come to his abode to serve him over there. The second angle is, for Jivatma to enjoy Paramatma, body is not a must. Even without the body, the Jivatma can enjoy Paramatma. But if the Jivatma decides to want to serve the Lord physically, then the Jivatma can obtain a spiritual body in the spiritual world and continue his service over there. So the point here is, when one keeps Krishna as an object of enjoyment, then that person will have the highest happiness. He does not waste his time by watching movies and doing other things. So Krishna has given us this body, which is usually said as rare to get a human body. Therefore, let's utilize this body as a vehicle to move towards Krishna, not to get away from Krishna. One last thing before we conclude. This question was raised by a devotee, but the response is applicable to anyone and everyone, for one who is in search of the highest happiness. Thank you. Hare Krishna.